Morning. This is a Tennessee Fish and Wildlife Commission meeting. It's April 26, 2013. My name's Jeff McMillan. I'm the chairman. At this time, I'm going to ask Commissioner Stout to do our invocation.
Let us pray. Lord, each one of us comes here today with hopes and dreams and concerns and anxieties and worries. Let us just turn those over to you and know that you are the ultimate creator and you have our lives in your hands and you've got a great plan for all of us. Lord, we ask you to be with this great country that we live in. Help us to be vigilant when we have enemies knocking at our door. Continue to be with the victims in Boston as they mourn the loss of their loved ones. Lord, be with our men and women who are fighting for our country. Be with the law enforcement of our country. Help them be steadfast and ready to defend our rights and the great privileges we have here in this country. Lord, we ask you just to be with this meeting that we have here today, the great commissioners, the great staff that we have. Be with us as we go our separate ways. Be with the men and women who are out in the field and on the lakes, serving our community and our wildlife that you created. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Barbara, could we have a roll call, please?
Jim Bledsoe.
Here.
Harold Cannon.
Here.
Bill Cox.
Here.
Jeff Griggs.
Here.
Dr. McMillan.
Here.
As Chairman, Dr. McMillan.
Oh, sorry. Tom Rice.
Here.
Jim Ripley. Julie Schuster. Clayton Stout.
Yes, ma'am.
James Stroud. Trey Teague. Jamie Woodson.
Thank you, sir. Has everybody had a chance to look at the minutes from the March meeting?
Make a motion to approve.
Second. So moved. That was quick. All right. Well, I would like to introduce our guest today. We have Mr. Ron Crabtree, and we have my lovely bride of 34 years. She said we've had 20 good ones, is Debbie McMillan. So, you gonna stand up or raise your hand? All right. She'll be critiquing me all the way home, I promise you that. So, I thought we did vote to approve them.
You said so.
Man, see, she'll have something to talk about. Shall we vote to approve the minutes? All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? All right, the minutes have been approved. Sorry. I think you shook me up on this doctor stuff. I'm a dentist, I'm not a real doctor, okay? I've been told that all my life, so not a problem. But do welcome any guest. I don't see anyone else, but I'll make the announcement that if you do want to speak, regardless of guest or if you're part of the agency, please come to the mic, state your name, and let's do that when it pertains to the subject matter that you want to speak about. So at this time, we'll move to the Wildlife Management Committee and Trey Teague, chairperson.
Yesterday, the Wildlife Management Committee and I recommend Proclamation 13-03, Parker Branch Wetlands WMA.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, proclamation passes. All right.
The next thing on my agenda is Proclamation 13-04. The Wildlife Management Committee and I recommend passage of this Proclamation 13-04.
Move for approval.
Is there a second? Second. Is there discussion? All right. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed? All right, ayes have it, the proclamation passes.
Is there any other business or comments? That concludes the Wildlife Management Committee business for today.
Thank you, Charlie. All right, at this time, we're gonna have a rulemaking hearing. And I'm gonna read this. This is a rulemaking hearing for the Tennessee Fish and Wildlife Commission to consider amending Rule 1660-01-05, which deals with rules for fishing. My name is Jeff McMillan. I'll conduct the hearing. Tennessee Wildlife Resource Agency staff will present information on the proposed rule amendment. Commission members will be permitted to comment and ask questions. Members of the audience will be permitted to comment and ask questions. Staff member and members of the audience wishing to speak should identify themselves before speaking. I reserve the right to limit comments and discussion, especially in cases of repetition. Thank you, Bobby.
Thank you, Commissioner. The first one I would like to address is Amendment to Rule 1660-01-05, rules and regulations for fishing, and then specifically .03, which deals with TWRA lakes. Many of you may not know much about our TWRA lakes, but just real briefly, we have 18 in the middle and western part of the state. They are intensively managed. By that, we fertilize a lot of them. We supplementally stock catfish and other species of fish in there to provide for better fishing and increase productivity. They range in size from a 22-acre lake, VFW lake. I think it's down there in number 13 on the very bottom in the middle, to Gibson County Lake, which is our largest agency lake, or TWRA lake, and it is 560 acres, and that's what we're going to talk about today. And it's located between Trenton, Tennessee, and Milan, Tennessee. The lake was open for fishing on April 1 of 2003. The lake was, when we stocked it with bass fingerlings, half of them were the northern or the native largemouth, and a half were Florida strain largemouth bass. And it's a beautiful lake. It's an excellent fishing lake. It's been real successful since we've opened it. A lot of people love fishing there. It's very popular. And if you get a chance, you should probably go there sometime. This aerial view of the lake, it's supposed to be 560 acres in size. The funding for it came from the Gibson County folks, and then also from the FEMA. They funded most of the funds for it because it's as a flood control lake, because downstream about 4 miles is the city of Trenton, and the Forked River goes through there and floods occasionally, and so this will help with the flooding by putting this in there. It's not going to stop it, but it'll help somewhat. And then the agency put in about $1.25 million or something like that to fund us. We put in about a third of the cost of that, and as in doing so, we asked that a third of the lake be designated as for fishing only or no wake speed. And that area that you can see I just clicked on is the area currently that's considered no wake speed, and the rest of the lake would be open for recreational purposes like boating and skiing and jet skis and things like that, and swimming. And so that was the concept of this lake from the beginning. But also from the beginning, we had some concerns about the size of the lake versus the watershed and the amount of water that drains into it. Back before any money was secured, before any land was bought, the agency expressed some concern about the size of the lake staying full level all the time, because it has a very low watershed to lake ratio. In other words, for every acre of water that you have, it only has 5 acres that drain into it from runoff from rain. And we prefer a 10 or 15 to 1. This has a 5 to 1. So, and also it has no running full year-round stream going through it either. So, and there were no wetlands in there either. So it tells you that it's just a big open area that was a agricultural area that is a great spot for a lake, but maybe not for the size lake. And so the issues that we run across is that in the 10 years that it's been open, it's only been at the level that they could recreate on with boating and things like that for about 4 months, the entire time. And but I think the water level, it can be within 2 feet of full pool, and then that they would allow the boats to be able to water ski on it. And below that, it gets a little hazardous because of trees and the land and things like that that would be shallow and cause a problem and a safety concern for boaters and skiers. So 4 months out of 10 years is not very good, and so it stays low a lot of the time. In fact, I think it's about 4 feet low now. The anglers approached us and asked if we would consider making the entire lake a no-wake zone or a fishing lake only. And we considered it. Region 1, Dave Rizzuto did a survey of users that at the concessionaire would interview the people that came out of the lake and put it into the lake, and they interviewed over 115, and 98% of them were in favor of going forth with making the entire lake a no-wake zone. And so then they brought that to the Gibson County Water Board Council, I think. Water Authority Board. Thank you, Water Authority Board, and presented our proposal, and they were unanimous in their approval of going forth and making it a no-wake lake as well. And on that board were the county executive, at least one county executive, or the county executive of Gibson County, and then several county commissioners. So it's got support that way too. And so anyway, our proposal today is to make this entire lake a no-wake lake and not have a zone just like we had before. And then we would add this to the other agency lakes or TWA lakes that have a no-wake speed on their waters for better fishing. So that's it in a nutshell. Any questions?
Chairman,
Yeah, go ahead. No, sir, you go ahead.
You go ahead and ask for discussion.
Chairman Midland, as chairman of the Fisheries Committee, I recommend make a motion to approve Rule 1660-01-05.03.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Just some questions, and you may have said it already, and I apologize. How many acre lake is this?
It's 500. It's supposed to be 560 acres when it's full pool.
Okay, what's depth is, it's amazing, and I agree, if 5 to 1, with all the rain we've had and it's low, it
Still low.
doesn't catch much water, does it?
No, it doesn't. And you're right. We've had some years with a lot of rain, and of course it has been full a time or two, but it goes. And what happens is it's not leaking; it just evaporates. Water evaporates, and there's not enough runoff to keep it full to maintain that level.
And there's not been any opposition to this rule that you've heard of?
Not that I've heard of. Dave Rizzuto, it's his lake.
Okay, I think this is a roll call vote, isn't it, Ms. Barber? Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Jeff McMillan? Yes. Jim Bledsoe?
Yes.
Harold Cannon?
Yes.
Bill Cox? Jeff Griggs?
Yes.
Tom Rice?
Yes.
Julie Schuster?
Yes.
Clayton Stout? Trey Teague? Oh, 9 yes and 3 not present.
Thank you, Barbara. Ayes have it, so it passed. Thank you, Bobby. It's good to have you part of our meetings again. Okay, at this time, I'm going to introduce Ms. Julie Schuster, Chairperson for our Biodiversity Multiple Use Committee.
Thank you, Chairman. The commission recognizes Alan Peterson, Region 1 Manager.
This is a rulemaking hearing before the Tennessee Fish and Wildlife Commission to consider amending Rule 1660-01-27, which deals with rules for state-operated hunter education centers and public firing ranges. My name is Jeff McMillan, and I will conduct the hearing. The order of proceedings goes as Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency staff will present information on the proposed rule amendment. Commission members will be permitted to comment and ask questions. Members of the audience will be permitted to comment and ask questions. Staff members and members of the audience wishing to speak should identify themselves before speaking. I reserve the right to limit comments and discussion, especially in cases of repetition.
Good morning, Commission, Mr. Dr. Chairman. I'm here this morning to present an amendment to a current rule. It's a very brief amendment. It's to Rule 1660-01-27.05. We have an indoor shooting range in Bartlett, Tennessee, suburb of Memphis, and we've had it for a while now with a certain fee structure to use the range, and we've had one fee, the annual license to use the range that has not been utilized the entire time except by one person, and we've realized the fee is too high to encourage people to buy an annual range license or range permit, and we want to reduce the annual fee from $420 down to $250 a year and bring it more in line with what people would be reasonably expected to pay to use that range.
Thank you, Alan. Chairman McMillan, as Chair of the Multiple Use Committee, I make a motion to approve passage of Rule Amendment 1660-01-27.05.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I've got a question. What's the usage at the range now? I mean, how many people are using it?
If you're asking for an exact number of people that use it, I don't have that. I know the usage has increased recently. We've done some things to try to encourage more use and opened it on different days to encourage more use, and we've gotten a lot more use here recently. Within the last year and a half, 2 years.
I think the hours that it's open are very critical.
Right, and we altered that about a year and a half, 2 years ago, and we've seen quite a bit more use.
All right, Ms. Barber, may I have a roll call, please?
Jeff McMillan,
Here. I mean, yes. You got me confused on this Dr. Jeff stuff, okay?
Jim Bledsoe,
Yes.
Harold Cannon,
Yes.
Bill Cox,
Aye.
Jeff Griggs,
Yes.
Tom Rice,
Yes.
Julie Schuster,
Yes.
Clayton Stout, Trey Teague.
Yes.
Okay, that's 9 yeses and 3 absent.
All right. The ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alan.
Thank you, Chairman Schuster. At this time, the Budget Committee will recognize Chairman Jeff Griggs.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Radjack, I don't see any need for you to come up to the front. I don't need, you can just sit down, we can do it without you today. That's all right. Commissioner McMillan, the Budget Committee and I recommend passage of proposed budget expansion partners project in the amount of $54,000. I make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? The ayes have it.
This time I'd like to ask Barry Sumner, Assistant Director, if you'd come up and give us a financial report.
Thank you, Commissioners. If you'll look in your notebook, find the Budget tab. The last couple of pages are the usual budget report. Budget is through, reporting through February. You'll see that we're still running a little behind in voting receipts, voting registration money. And that was through February, and we, of course, kind of monitored that along the way, too. And as of right now, it looks like we're still running a little bit behind in boat registrations. We're not exactly sure why. On the wildlife side, we're just a little bit behind it through February and also through now. We're running just a little bit behind on revenue from license sales. We were down 2.4% in February. And behind that, you've got the wetlands acquisition totals. And with that, I'll try to address any questions.
Chairman Griggs, thank you. Barry, with the, I don't know, the stagnant numbers, I guess we've heard, this is about the third time we've heard this in a row. I guess I'm getting a little concerned myself, just as far as, are we proactive enough to think or move ahead as far as how we're, with the down revenues, if we're, where we're going with projects and spending, and have you got a game plan? I'm sure you do, but, you know, but this is about the third.
Yeah.
Made me feel better. Talk to me, is what I'm
Okay.
trying to say. Made me feel a lot better.
Well, I'm not sure I can make you feel a lot better, but.
Well, numbers don't lie here, and I mean, it's been the third month in a row, so.
Right, and well, on the wildlife side, we're doing better. We're catching up. We may well end the fiscal year with same as last year or pretty close to it. It's a little hard to tell so far, but according to the weather people, it had been warmer at this point last year than it is at this point this year, and that does affect our license sales. You know, if Easter weekend had been prettier, it was kind of a gray weekend, but that's a great time to sell hunting and fishing licenses in the new license year, and we were hoping that was going to be our catch-up point, but that just didn't happen. On the boating side, yeah, we're just a little baffled at why we're not having more people register their boats. We do send out boat registration renewals, things like that, and we may yet catch up, but at this point, I think probably for boating, we're gonna end the fiscal year down just a little bit compared to last year.
Does that affect your decision-making moving forward as far as projects, spending, et cetera, et cetera?
No, we have enough in the reserve fund, and this is reflecting boat registration fees. We also have federal funds, which doing fine. So no, it's not going to have a noticeable impact on the operation of the agency.
Have you used reserve funds in the past to balance out red numbers from boating?
Yes.
Thank you for your.
And again, it won't be a big hit to our reserve fund, but you know,
No, but
looks
anytime
like
you
we're
go-
going to end off just a little bit.
Well, it's just concerning. I know you have no control over it, but it's just, I wish that,
Yeah, and we look at things like new boat sales versus people re-registering their boats. Looks like people are buying boats and registering new ones. Seems to be the people who need to renew their registrations that are lagging behind. And this may be somewhat of a function of our own technology, whereas once upon a time, you had to think ahead and re-register your boat and get that done through the mail and get your registration back before you go boating. Now you can head down the road and whip out your cell phone and register your boat on the way to the lake. So could be people are just delaying that a little more than they used to.
thank you for entertaining my questions.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Cox. Barry, would you consider somebody sitting down and taking 20 names that haven't registered their boat that typically register and just calling them on the telephone and ask them why they hadn't registered the boat?
We could do that, and we've done similar things before. We've done mail surveys and just really never got any consistent response. You know, you get responses like, well, I haven't had time. Well, that doesn't really mean anything. That's basically somebody telling you they just haven't taken the time. It hasn't been important enough to them.
But it would give you the information you would need to know whether that person, when they get time, might do it, or whether they have sold their boat and they're not interested in fishing anymore, or something's wrong with something that made them stop. You know, it's too expensive, or it's not easy to do, or whatever. And if I lose a customer, I'm gonna call the customer and ask them what can I do to get your.
Yeah.
So, I just suggest picking 20, 25 names at random and call them and say, ask them,
Okay, we may try that then.
and a lot of them might say, thanks for the reminder, I'll do it right now. So,
Chair recognizes Commissioner Cannon.
Barry, I'm hearing the same thing you are, and that is boat sales are up. And fairly recently, boat sales are up. At least that's what we're hearing in East Tennessee. Hopefully this number's gonna reduce drastically because of that. I would ask, if there was something, if you have it, I don't wanna go through an exercise, but if you have something that shows historic trends, say for the past 3 years, and if this is an unusual anomaly that things are dropping, you know, where they haven't in the past to this degree, I think Commissioner Cox got an excellent idea. is that
Yeah.
we need to pursue that. But if there was some kind of trend graph or whatever, that may help all of us get educated a little bit.
Okay.
I think Director Carter has something he wants to speak.
Just add a couple of things, maybe. Boat sales have been up nationally for this brief period, first time we've seen that in about 3 years, so that's encouraging. We also have an anomaly in boating where a boater can register 1, 2, or 3 years at their discretion. And that option to go 1, 2, or 3 years on certain years will have less boats because the person registered for 3 years, so it doesn't show up as a new registration in that year. So that you have that blip as well. As far as Mr. Cox's idea, we've been doing something similar to that. There's a lapsed boater program and a lapsed angler program. The Recreational Boating Fishing Foundation is a national organization that's funded through the same Wallet Bro money that the rest of our programs are funded through. We've been working with them for about 3 years, and Don King has been our person in our I&E division that's worked with them. When we literally have a program where it's run through them and us as well, where we contact a number of boaters to find out exactly what you just said, why they're not registering, why they're not doing whatever, what their trends are. So we are following that pretty closely, and we've done that for about 3 years now that we've actually had a program similar to that. We've got the returns on how many people that we've contacted, go through and follow up on their registrations and on their hunting and fishing licenses as well. So we're dabbling in that and continue to do that as long as that program exists.
So have you got any results from that 3 years of efforts? I mean, what are you finding out?
We do. It's kind of similar to what Barry said. It's kind of all over the board. Some I'm working off of memory here, but there's a time factor, there was a financial factor. Gas prices were higher than they'd been in years, and even though that seemed what we expected, that would be the number one reason, didn't seem to be. People were still using their boat, they just weren't traveling as much on the lake. So I tell you, at the next meeting, if you like, we can ask Don to put together that program analysis of what's on both fishing and boating, and let you know what those were.
Director Carter, where do we stand with the federal matching funds? I know there's some problems with they're questioning our license as far as the senior license and all. Do you know where you stand with that now?
Barry actually has more information on that than I do, but the short version is that we've appealed it every way that we can on the senior license. We're not gaining any ground there, and it appears from the meeting that Barry just came back from that the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service doesn't think it's that big of a problem on a national scale. On May the 5th, the directors from the Southeast are all getting together. That's one of the topic agendas for not only this, but also for lifetime licenses, which could be affected the same way if the service actually applies the same rationale. And that's a huge concern to a lot of the other states. South Carolina, West Virginia, and Tennessee are the three that have been most affected so far by the change, at least what we consider a change in the way they've allowed us to count number of licenses. Right now, I don't see that we're going to get anything back out of that. The only thing I will tell you is that we did get some good news on the sequestration funds, and that is they did sequester the funds this year out of both wildlife and fishing and boating, but they just ruled within the month that those funds that were sequestered will go back into the overall fund and be apportioned out as a part of next year's fund. So even though they were cut this year, they'll go back in, so we will make those back up next year. So that's about 5 to 7% that will go back up on those.
While we're on, you're talking about federal funds, did the request for help with the flood control or the water control structure at Real Foot, did we get those monies approved, or do you know any update on that yet?
Yeah, we applied for wildlife restoration funding, and yeah, that's not a problem. I don't remember the exact amount right now, but yeah, we asked for a substantial amount of money.
Any more questions for Mr. Sumner? Mr. Mr. Chairman, back to you.
Thank you, Commissioner Griggs. Thank you, Barry.
Okay.
I guess that does our agenda. Are there any? Thank you, Director Carter.
Just to kind of a wrap up from yesterday, is we went through a lot of regulations and ideas about what next year's seasons were going to be. I just wanted to mention that obviously when we went through them yesterday, these were the proposals. There was no votes taken obviously on what would be occurring for next year's hunting seasons for 2013, 2014. The commission will, along with the staff, will take any comments we get between this meeting and the May meeting. We'll bring those back before the commission when we actually take action, which right now is slated for May the 31st, which is a Friday. There'll be another committee meeting on May the 30th, that Thursday, and that meeting will be held in Nashville for anybody that cares to attend that again. But anyway, that's those items you discussed yesterday. I just wanted, for the record, for people to know that you considered those, and we'll actually take action after everyone's had a chance to look at what the full recommendations were for next year. I also want to just publicly thank the Carroll County Mayor, Kenny McBride, for hosting us Wednesday night and showing the cooperation that we've had between the two counties and the commission in terms of building that shooting facility they have up there and the programs that they've got going for the youth and for the hunters and fishermen in their county. And of course on to Henry County Mayor Brent Greer for including us in all the festivities here at the world's greatest fish fry in Paris, and all the hospitality that they've shown us, and which will continue on here when this meeting adjourns. Between 11:30 and 12, we'll go over to the governor's luncheon, and I'm sure Mayor Greer will be there as well. So I just wanted to mention those things, and also publicly thank Region 1 for all the work that they've done to making this meeting flow so well, and going out of their way to make sure that all the needs were met, and we appreciate that also.
Thank you, Director Carter. Do you think for those that are going to go, can we just kind of line up maybe in front of the hotel at 11:30 and follow y'all, since obviously we don't know where it's going? A parade, and we're not in it? Okay, but I'm just saying, what time are y'all gonna leave? Okay.
You want to give them the name of the church again? And
Okay, so do we want to meet maybe right here in front of this building, and we'll go out the back way?
that'd probably be a good idea.
And meet at 11:30?
And
Okay.
some of the Region 1 personnel may know how to get there a lot better than I do, but in years past, the agency's been a part of the parade. Some of our boats, some of our vehicles, that kind of thing's been a part of it.
Julie could be Mrs. The drum queen, since we call it drum. We have plenty of drum to eat today if anybody wants to share in it, so.
That's better than Miss Asian Carp, so,
No, it was
thank you.
All right, is there any other discussion? Yes, sir.
I've got one.
Wow, too. The meeting for May is May 30th and 31st in Nashville. Right, it's a 2-day meeting.
I've got one thing I was wanting to read off. This comes from the Farm Bureau, and it was sent out to their state board of directors, all the agency managers, and the county presidents. I just wanted to read it because we don't get bragged on a whole lot, but it says, throughout our fall 2012 Farm Bureau policy development process, the increasing population and resulting damage of black vultures was a reoccurring issue discussed by members. Farm Bureau members' concerns resulted in conversations among your Tennessee Farm Bureau leadership and Ed Carter, Executive Director of the TWRA. These talks have resulted in the enclosed letter from Ed Carter to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. We want each of you to have a copy of this excellent letter. Your concerns have been heard. We appreciate Director Carter for his efforts to let the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service know that the black vulture problems have grown to an unacceptable level. Please share this information with your local board and take the opportunity to thank Director Carter and your local TWRA officers for the agency's recognition and desire to address this growing problem. Sincerely, Lacey Upchurch, President, Tennessee Farm Bureau Federation. I want to personally thank you, whether the letter done any good or not, and it was a great letter. I've got a copy of it right here. it builds a lot of good relationships between agriculture and wildlife, so, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Bledsoe. Unless there's any other information or discussion, we'll be adjourned, and I'll see you in Nashville, May 31st.